began in the heart of Melbourne.
You are not Australia.
A man with a camera was their target. Police had to drag him out. Thousands had gathered at the corner of Flinders and Swanston Streets for the March for Australia rally that was held in capitals around the country. People here say they're concerned about mass migration.
Like I said, I'm not racist. Anybody's welcome. I've got a lot of mates that are multicultural, you know, we all have a beer together and have a laugh, but yeah, so I'm not against it, it's just we need to slow the numbers down a little bit, I think.
And when I'm not against immigrants, they've got to stop bringing them in until we can support them, you know, put houses up. Australia's got to be treated better.
We have grandchildren and they're growing up. What world are we leaving for them in Australia?
Rafi Sydney travelled from the Mornington Peninsula to take part in the rally.
How do you think mass migration will affect your grandchildren?
I don't want them to become under Sharia law.
Sorry?
I don't want them to become under Sharia law.
Well, do you know people on the Mornington Peninsula that practice it already?
No, I don't personally.
Among the crowd was prominent neo-Nazi and convicted criminal Thomas Sewell. Surrounded by others wearing black, they were intent on marching to the Victorian Parliament.
The March for Australia rally has begun here at Flinders Street. They've been held up here for about 30 minutes. The idea was to march up through Swanston Street in the city, but they've been blocked off by a line of police officers. And now on Swanston Street, heavily armed officers have arrived.
Police diverted the rally up Elizabeth Street to prevent them coming face to face with the opposing pro-Palestine rally, which has run every Sunday for almost 100 weeks. That plan failed. Pepper spray was used as protesters tried to break through the police line, separating the two groups. Beer cans and eggs were thrown. Each side had their own chants and held up signs baiting each other. With Parliament as their goal, a sea of Australian flags headed up Bourke Street with a Stop Immigration sign. Then violence erupted again. A man was filmed handing out White Australia flyers, claiming the government was bringing in too many so-called third worlders, making the country less white and more brown. As crowds eventually arrived to the front of Victorian Parliament, an elderly man who had come to join the anti-immigration protesters was targeted for holding up an Italian flag.
You've been asked by the organiser. Take it down or off.
For the people here, they come from migrants, they're migrants.
You're not following the rules, buddy.
The Australians.
No, that's why we don't want immigrants, because like you.
Standing on the steps of the Victorian Parliament, this neo-Nazi had his moment.
If we want to secure our Australia and not Parliament's Australia, then we have to stop immigration.
Thomas Sewell finished his speech without interruption.
I don't think a neo-Nazi should be allowed to do this anywhere in Australia, but here in Melbourne they tend to get away with it because Victoria Police don't have the powers to move them on.
How do you feel about a neo-Nazi being able to stand on the steps of Parliament and address the public?
It was appalling to see that he had a platform, but we need to do what I'm doing right here and right now, call it out for what it was, bigoted, disgraceful language that was hurtful.
You sound appalled about the scenes and behaviour yesterday. Why shouldn't Victoria have tougher move-on laws like New South Wales?
Well, we do have those sorts of laws, and in fact the police yesterday could designate the area and had additional powers to deal with the disruption.
Brad Batten is the state opposition leader in Victoria. He says now is the time to consider a permit system for protests.
There's registration systems for protests all the way across this country except Victoria. And all it does is it allows Victoria Police to work with protest organisers. People can still protest, but they might be in different parts of the city.
What evidence does the government and police have to show that permit systems don't work?
If you want to look at evidence, you could look at the big march that occurred on the Sydney Harbour Bridge, and that's probably the clearest evidence of where there was a permit system in place, and the police rejected it, but then it was overturned at a court level.
Late in the day, men in black, along with neo-Nazi Thomas Sewell, stormed a First Nations protest camp on the outskirts of the city.
Look at him, how proud he is. Look at him. Look at him.
As the day ended, clashes continued as protesters tried to get home from Flinders Street Station. 12 people were arrested and 2 officers were injured. Police are now reviewing CCTV to investigate further offences.